So now that I'm no longer a Christian and I can kill people, rape people, and steal their things and feel no guilt whatsoever, I can also make this video right now. So that was 100% a joke. I wanted to be a little bit lighthearted or whatever, because this is a topic that is very, I guess, painful for me to talk about and personal. But I want to talk about Jackie Price because I blindly followed her for about 1, 2, 3, 4 years, maybe a little more. And I just want to say that, like, at the end of the day, like, it's not really like totally her fault because I was the one that chose to listen to her and all that stuff, but it is definitely partially her fault because she is posting all this stuff on YouTube and Facebook out there wanting people to listen to her and do what she's saying. And, you know, if you don't think that that's true, she'll say, oh, go ask Jesus yourself. And if Jesus tells you something different than what he told her or what is in her Facebook posts, then she will lash out at you and call you terrible things and tell you you're going to hell. I have a couple videos up about the different experiences I've had and how hard it was being a Christian because of following her advice. I've had so many bad experiences where, like, she's like, oh, you can't celebrate holidays and you can't do this, and she's so serious about it, and then I decided not to celebrate holidays, and then my family went crazy, which is, you know, just because, I don't know, I guess we're also extreme with things. And so, like, I don't know, I had so many bad experiences because I was like, all right, I'm not going to celebrate Christmas, and I can't take pictures for Christmas because it's a pagan holiday, and I can't do this or that because it's a sin. And then, you know, my family is just like driven insane by that because they always take pictures and stuff. And like, I had some really bad times, which I will have to make a video about that eventually. And honestly, I will say, like, it is pretty stupid that people do that. Like, I totally get it. Jackie Price is right about that, and you know, Jehovah's Witnesses, they're right about that. But I'm not really religious, so I can't really say that it's a sin to celebrate holidays or not. And you know, my mentality is like, if you can't beat them, join them. But I'm kind of joining them in the sense of like, I'm not going to tell you it's bad or whatever. All right. Basically, I had so many fights with my family for listening to Jackie Price and following her and stuff, and I think like that sucks. I think my family is also partially, or they are part of the blame. It's not just her and it's not just me. They are a huge reason that made it so hard for me to be a Christian. But since they're my family, like, and they provided everything for me, I don't want to talk about that right now or in this video, and I'm going to let it slide for now. We can talk about that another day. We're going to talk about Jackie Price, who has not done anything for me and does not give a single shit about me. So here we go. I guess anyone watching this knows a lot about Jackie Price, especially if you've been following her for years. Like, I've been kind of following her since like 2013, and then I know some of you guys have known her since she started like in 2009 or 2010, and some of you guys, you know, maybe you guys just found her like 2 or 3 years ago or a couple months ago, something like that. But I don't really need to talk much about what Jackie Price preaches or what, you know, what she stands for, because you guys probably know. Or if you don't, just look her up on Facebook or look her up on YouTube. She has tons of videos. If you want to watch her videos from like 2010 to like 2015, those are the videos that I am talking about, because those are the ones that I saw. And I stopped watching her like maybe in 2015 or 2016. So I'm going to talk about a couple things, but let me just start. One thing is that, you know, one thing that's totally wrong that she was doing is that she would constantly like it's just, I think I don't remember the years anymore, like it's just, I can't recall, but it was like 2014 or 2015, one of those 2 years. They were posting things about how it's the end times and just this and that. They were so serious about it, and they're like, Jesus is telling us it's the end times, and that's all they would post about. They'd post something like, oh, the world's gonna end and the government's gonna take your family and take your guns and take your food and your house, and you're gonna be put in concentration camps. And then the next post is about, you know, how she's growing sunflowers with Jesus, and like how she likes to have snow cones and stuff and just things like that. That's just a little weird, I guess. And then she even made a couple end times videos, and then maybe 6 months later or whatever, or not even that, probably like 2 months later, like she is not posting a word about the end times. She's just back to like posting normal things. And you know, like, I don't know, it's for some reason no one really talked about it, because she's not talking about it and other people aren't talking about it, but she just stops talking about the end times and stops with all that. And then she's posting a lot more lighter content or just general content, posting as if like the world's not going to end soon or something like that, or as if like Jesus isn't coming back or the Great Tribulation isn't coming, stuff like that. It's like, I'd be thinking like she would say with confidence that Jesus told her something would happen within the next 3 years, or like within this time or that time. She wouldn't put an exact date, but she'd say it would happen within this amount of time, like it happened before 2020 or whatever, things like that. But then she would also post things like, like advice for young kids like me, or like young adults who are getting married, or like, just stuff for your future. But I'm thinking like, okay, so if we're going to be dead within the next 10 years, why are you posting about like advice for young people getting married? Like, wouldn't it be a waste of time to get married if martial law is going to break out and we're going to be killed for believing in Jesus like within the next 2 or 3 years? Doesn't that defeat the purpose? Like, I don't get it. But she would literally post like, okay, you guys are going to be lucky if you're alive in 2016. Seeing Jesus, time is short, the world is or like the world is coming to an end, or Obama's going to end the world, and like we'll get to Obama later. But she would post that, and then a couple days later she's like, teenagers, you might just meet your husband or wife one day and seek Jesus about it. Like, it's posting as if like you're not gonna die in 2016. Like, 'cause this was in like 2014 or 2015. So like, if you're like, again, if you're meeting your husband in 2014 and you're gonna die in 2016 because of like martial law or whatever, or like persecution of Christians, you have like 2 years to get married and have kids and have a family, and then like get your head chopped off? I don't get it. Another thing is just, she is a huge hypocrite, because like the thing is that she will always post these things and say that Jesus told her this, and she'd say it with absolute confidence, and if you disagree with her, you're going to hell and you're a wicked person, and she'd say all that. And then but then a couple years later she changes her mind and gets a lot more like relaxed about things, and like it's just she doesn't apologize for it. She doesn't say she was wrong. She doesn't do anything like that. She just brushes it under the carpet and keeps moving on. And that's just pretty messed up. Like, for example, like she would say things like that it's a sin to color your hair. She said like when she started following Jesus and stuff, Jesus said like not to dye her hair, and then like her, and her and all of her friends were like, yeah, it's a sin to dye your hair, because it's disrespectful to God, because it's not the color he gave you, and this and that. And then she'd say things like, oh, it's a sin to do your hair and to care too much about your appearance. And then a couple years later, she like, look at her now, like she definitely has dyed her hair, like she has highlights or something, and she's definitely done stuff to her hair. It's like a different style in every video. Like, I don't know what she's done, but she's done something to it. So clearly she is caring for her appearance a lot, and just doing things that are like totally against what she was saying a couple years ago. And it's just she's a hypocrite. Like, she's not mentioning anything about like, oh yeah, I'm so sorry, you guys, like I know I was saying that Jesus told me to do all this stuff. I am so sorry. Yeah, I was wrong. I was not hearing from Jesus or something. And, she would deny being a cult leader like all this time. And the reality is that she's exactly a cult leader. She has her own group or her own cult of people. She's the head of them, and then she, whatever she says is what goes, basically. And if anyone disagrees with her, 90% of the time she's going to tell them that they're wicked, that they're not hearing from Jesus, that they're going to hell, that they have a demon spirit or something like that. And that is like, it's just, she is actually the head. Like, she doesn't agree with anyone else, or she doesn't like allow anyone else. Like, it's just, you have to follow her and agree with like everything she says or whatever, or you don't, and then or you're going to hell or something like that. And so that's obviously where I took a lot of like what I believed from and how I acted, and that's why I was that way. Also, she's just always talking about like, oh, you need to share the gospel, you need to tell people about Jesus, because if you don't, then you could be held accountable for that, you're going to hell for that, and it does say that in the Bible too, like if you don't warn them, then their blood is on your hands and you will be judged for that. And so yeah, it is biblical, but I'm also not a Christian anymore. But still, the thing, so we're not looking at it in a biblical context. We're looking at it in the context that she said that as a cult leader, she's like, tell everyone about Jesus and stuff. And so you know what I did? I wrote letters to all my teachers about Jesus and stuff, and like sent it to their personal accounts and all that stuff, and got in trouble with my school. And I told Jackie, and she's just like, I mean, I'm not gonna say that she didn't care at all, because I mean, she was kind of nice about it, but she had just said like, oh, Jesus will be with you, and like stuff like that. I don't remember exactly. So like, she did care a little bit, but like right after that, she had just blocked me for some reason and never talked to me again, and I couldn't see her stuff anymore, and I was basically kind of left alone without anything or anyone to help me. And I went through probably the hardest time in my life, and no one cares at all. And going to school had been a lot harder, and it was really bad, honestly, because it's just nothing too bad happened in person, you know, thankfully. But like just walking around thinking about the fact that something could happen one day, or just thinking about like, dang, I did all this stuff and all these people know and all these people are thinking this about me or whatever, or just things like that, or you know, or the fact that I could get kicked out of the school and my parents were paying money for me to go there and my parents would have been so angry, like all that type of stuff just running through my mind every day. It was so hard. And you know, people also picking on me, and like they're going up to me and they treat me like a zoo animal, and they're like, oh, so you believe this about Jesus, or like you believe, you know, the earth is flat, or the world's 6,000 years old, or this or that, whatever. And you know, even though Jackie wasn't really talking about the flat earth, but like just other things like that, or oh, you believe Jesus talks to you, or Jesus loves you, or Jesus wants people to do this, or to just street preach or whatever, I don't know, something like that. People going up and talking to me and asking me things just to get a crazy reaction, or to make fun of me, and asking me like just terrible things. And it's just all that stuff going on at one time was really traumatic for me. And again, I didn't have anybody to help me or to care about me. And then on the other side, my family is hating me too, because you know, we don't agree with each other on like religious things. And then that's another thing that was really hard too, like literally having a fight with my mom every night. Like for example, the divorce thing. Now I don't really know what Jackie's stance is. I'm pretty sure she's still anti-divorce and stuff like that. But my mom and I would have so many fights, like me and then my aunt too, and just other people, about like, you know, just all the things that Jackie was saying. One thing that came up a lot is divorce, you know, like, because there's so many adult couples that we know and that are divorced, and for everyone does, because 50% of adult couples or marriages fail and end up in divorce. So like whenever we would see a divorced couple or whatever, or just talk about someone who's divorced, I guess this is kind of stupid on my part, but I would be like, you know, it's a sin that they are divorced, right? Or you know, to my mom, or maybe even I've told them sometimes, but usually I was too scared to, and I would just talk about it with my mom or whatever. And I'm like, this is wrong, and my mom would get so angry, and she's like, these are adult situations, and like she would yell and scream, and like it would get so bad. She would send me like threatening text messages, or just in all caps, of like, you know, like, what if your dad was abusing me and stuff, and we can't, you know, like we should get divorced or whatever. But like, you know, and then to bring this topic to the side and talk about it, yeah, that is definitely a valid point. You know, if my dad was abusing my mom, yeah, get divorced. But on the other hand, Jackie Price was saying that you didn't have to get divorced if, you know, if you were in an abusive relationship. What you could just do is separate from that person and not, you know, just cut yourself off from them, but not get divorced, and still love them from a distance. You know what I'm saying? So that way you can be safe, but not legally get divorced, because when you enter marriage, it is a covenant. So honestly, I do think Jackie was right about that. When you get married, you go with the intention that it's going to last for life, and honestly, it's not going to last for life unless you work for it. So I can totally see that, and that's something that people really should understand. At the same time, the Bible does say that it's okay to get divorced if your spouse has cheated on you. I'll put the verse right here, which is crazy. That's like the first time I read the Bible in like 2 or 3 years. But anyway, so whether or not, you know, just whether or not marriage is for life or not, the Bible does say it is okay to get divorced under that circumstance. But Jackie Price, after millions or thousands of her posts where she's talking about divorce being a sin, or talking about it in a video, she had never mentioned that it's okay to get divorced if someone cheats. Now, she did post a lot about how if someone's cheating, you know, you should pray for them, forgive them, and stuff like that. And that's totally, like, I get that, you know, like if we're looking at just marriage and not what the Bible says, and if we're just looking at how marriage is a lifelong covenant, you know, and you go into that as an agreement to, you know, you're going to stay with this person for the rest of your life, then yeah, I get that. But that's not what the Bible says. The Bible says it is okay to get divorced if your spouse commits adultery. So going back to the end time situation, I do want to say that in like 2014, 2015, she'd say Obama is the last president. Okay, sorry guys, but I had to break this into 2 parts, so please watch part 2 so you can get the full story and it'll all make sense. The link to that will be in the description, so I'll see you all in part 2, and thank you for watching.